Hello everyone and welcome to another live stream with the IELTS Grind. So I'm Phil and tonight we'll be doing some mock speaking tests. So welcome everybody. So first of all, let's talk about what's going to happen. And tonight we'll be... Oh, so the sound's working. Right, so what we do is there is a Zoom meeting that I've set up, and if you come to the description here, you'll find all the details to join that. So we may have to start more than one Zoom meeting tonight because we still have to use the free version, but we can always sort that out as we go along. So the idea tonight is, if you're interested in having a bit of practice speaking to a real native, you can just jump on the Zoom chat and just do part of the test if you want, or if you'd like to get an estimated band score, feel free to join me for the entire test. So we're going to go for at least an hour today, so I can talk to quite a few people and we'll see how long we go exactly. So the other thing to know is, if you watch the video, make sure you watch it live, so you can click on live on your YouTube, and that will make sure that you keep in sync with what I'm saying. Of course, the other thing to know is when we're going live next. If you come to our website, the IELTSGrind.com, you can click on live stream schedule, and if it loads up fast enough, you'll find all the information on this page. So we're going to update this in the next couple of days for our schedule coming up in September. Just remember that all these times are based on Taipei. That's where Michael and I are based. And if you want to get in contact with us at all, feel free to come and join our Facebook group, which is IELTS Success, or you can join our Discord group here if you're looking for a speaking partner. We're trying to build this up so you guys can practice more, and all of that information, you can easily find that in the description of these videos, so if you want to go and find that. So let's get going. Okay, so let's start this meeting. Okay, so it looks like we have Hannah in the Zoom. So if you want to, okay, so it looks like we have. If you just want to say hello, we'll check if we have the sound, and then we can start.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hi. Yeah.
So let's check if this. Yeah, it looks like the sound's fine on the live stream. Okay, Hannah, how are you today, and where are you calling from?
Can you repeat? I can't hear it clearly.
Oh, you can hear me? Ah, okay. So which country are you calling from today?
I come from Vietnam.
Okay. And have we ever spoken before on the live stream, or is this the first time?
This is my first time.
Okay. So would you like to do the entire mock speaking tests, part 1, part 2 and part 3? Or are you here just to practice a particular part?
I'm here I want to practice.
Okay. Do you have about 15 minutes and we can practice the entire test?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well let's do that then. Okay, so I'm going to start my timer, and we'll go through and I'll just ask you questions, and then afterwards I'll give you a little bit of feedback, and I'll try and give you an estimated band score, the range where I think you are, and this can help you with your studies, because then you know what things you need to work on. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's begin by talking about your hometown. Where are you from?
Now I'm currently living in Nghệ An province, which is located in the central region of Vietnam.
Why do people like living in your hometown?
Can you repeat again?
Why do people like living in your hometown?
Well, to be honest, I think the most attractions attractions in my hometown is that the atmosphere is really peaceful, and the people in here is really friendly and welcoming to the other pupils.
Are there any parks in your hometown?
Well, to be honest, I was born and raised in the small village, so that is not a lot of parks or any places for us to play or doing something outside. But almost it's just a battlefield or in the road. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about websites. Which websites do you use most often?
Well, talking about the websites, I think is a lot of websites nowadays is really popular and have a lot of many users. But the websites I usually access most is IELTS online test. This website helped me to practice listening skills and reading skills, and the best things that the website gave me is that the charge of this is totally free, so I can access whenever I want to practice my listening skills and reading skills.
Are websites a good way to learn English?
Yeah.
Why?
Totally, absolutely is yes, because IELTS online test is a website. It's really reliable for the pupil, for the user to practice English and learn English. Through this website, you can learn a lot of things, like your mistakes, a lot of common mistakes, and you can practice whenever you want. And yeah, it's really useful.
How can websites be dangerous?
Well, I think because it's free, so a lot of users use it. A lot of users chose use it. So I think sometimes it have a little bit worry about the way to assess it, and maybe your account is banned sometimes, I guess. Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you about parks. Do you like going to parks?
So, well, to be honest, I'm an introvert, so that's the reason why I don't like to go outside to play. But I think going to the park is really the way for you to relax and unwind and refresh your mind. So yeah, I just usually going to the parks sometimes, but not totally. I like it a lot. Yeah, just a bit like it just a little bit.
Okay, so let's move on, and I'd like you to describe a tradition from your country. You're going to have to talk about this for 1 to 2 minutes, and before you start speaking, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you'd like to say, and during this time, you can make notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you actually see the screen on your phone, or would you like me to read the information to you? Can you see the YouTube screen at the moment?
Yeah, I see.
Okay, excellent. Right, so what I'm going to do is, hopefully this works, I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about what you'd like to say. And then after that, I'll ask you to speak for 2 minutes, okay? So you can start thinking now. Okay, so remember you need to describe a tradition from your country, and you can start
Okay.
speaking now.
Okay. So that in Vietnam has a lot of traditional I want to tell you, but when it comes to traditional I think wearing áo dài in the special occasions is my option because áo dài is the traditional dress in Vietnam, and nowadays it's really popular, and especially women's often wear it in the special occasions, um, special occasions such as date holidays or some mm, Teachers' Day or something like that. I think in the past, many people think that áo dài just used by women, but nowadays it's also spanned for men or spanned for men too. And I think wearing áo dài in special occasion is show the beauty of women in Vietnam, and is show the mix of traditional and modern beauty. So modern beauty. So and this spend and áo dài is never be out of date because it's really beautiful, and you can wear it not only in the special occasion but also a lot of things. And I think it's really important because it shows the beauty
Okay,
of
thank you.
of my country.
So, when was the last time you wore this piece of clothing? Have you done this recently?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, we were talking about a tradition. So now let's talk about traditions in general. Are the younger generation as concerned about cultural traditions?
Well, in my opinion, I think younger generations is seems like less concerned about the cultural traditions because we are now living in the modern life. So cultural tradition is a bit not popular among teenager and especially teenager and younger generations like me. But I think from the bottom of our heart, I think cultural traditionals plays an important roles in our lives, and yeah, just less concerned about that.
Are there any traditions which should be abandoned?
I think, in my opinion, I think uh, traditional is really valuable with us just in every generation. So that I think no no one traditionals should be abandoned because it's really important. It shows the
Okay.
beauty of that country and yeah.
So you mentioned that these traditions are important and they shouldn't be abandoned. So why do many traditions around the world get abandoned over time? Why does this happen?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yeah. So you said that traditions should not be abandoned because they're important. But
Yeah.
around the world, many traditions do get abandoned. So why does this happen?
Well, I think that a lot of men because we are now living in the modern lives, so that some traditions are abandoned because I think is a bit outdated. Some it's not totally suitable for teenager or young people like me or some like me or like my friends too. So that I think this is the main reasons why some traditions are abandoned now.
Okay, thank you. That's
Yeah.
the end of the speaking test. Okay, how do you feel about that? Good?
Um, a bit nervous, and I think it's not totally good.
No, well, I think you did very well actually. Um, so
Thank you.
let's talk about just some feedback. Okay, so just in case you don't know, or if there's anyone watching that doesn't know, you're graded for this exam based on 4 criteria, and hopefully on the screen everyone can see. And if hopefully you saw that, if you come to the description of any video on the IELTS Grind channel, if you click down here where it says speaking, you'll get this link to the band descriptors. So you're graded on fluency and coherence. So how willing are you to speak on different topics, and how easy is it for the examiner to understand you? Lexical resource, do you use the right word in the right way? Grammatical range and accuracy, are you using grammar in the way that a native would use grammar? This is the ultimate band 9. And pronunciation, are you using all the pronunciation features of English, for example, intonation, word stress, and so on? So if we go through it, I feel that your pronunciation is pretty good, and it's deceptive. Now, what I'm saying deceptive is because if I met you in the pub, I would say, okay, this is a very good English speaker. But the issue you have is to do with accuracy with other areas. So your pronunciation is pretty good. I even heard a few little hints of an American accent here and there. So I think you must watch a lot of American TV, right? I'm just hearing it here and there. So that's really good. In terms of fluency, I felt like you were happy to talk about everything. And for the most part, I understood exactly what you were saying. There was actually just one little thing I wasn't too sure about. When we were talking about the tradition from your country, now you were talking about, I think it was like a dress or a piece of clothing. And to me, it sounded like outside. But what was the thing you were talking about? What's it called?
Yeah? Can you just repeat?
Yeah, so the thing that you were describing to me in part 2, what was the word you were using?
Wearing the outside. This is a kind of traditional in Vietnam.
So
Dress.
Oh, it's a traditional dress called outside? Because it's just, for my English ear, it sounds like you're saying the word outside.
No, it's just a name of
It's something similar. Okay, yeah. So just if you're ever talking about this again, just be very clear. Maybe you say this is what it's called, or you could even maybe spell it or something. I don't know. But it was just I didn't quite catch that, and that was the only time I didn't understand what you were saying. But everything else was generally good. In terms of lexical resource, there were a few times you didn't use the right form of the word. For example, you were confusing traditional and tradition.
Yeah.
Little things like that. With your grammar, I felt there were a few little mistakes here and there. For example, you said people is instead of people are. And I felt for the most part you stayed in the safe zone. You were using safe grammar. I didn't hear many complex structures. So your pronunciation is pretty good. Your fluency is okay. Your coherence is pretty good too, for the most part. But with your lexical resource and your grammatical range and accuracy, you need to focus on this a little bit, because this will rapidly push your score up. So overall, I think you're in the 6 to 7 band. 7 for some things, closer to 6 for other things. But I don't feel like you're too far off like a higher score. So concentrate a little bit on your accuracy for grammar, lexical resource as well to a certain extent. And the best bit of advice I could give you is record yourself doing this kind of practice. Go back and fix the mistakes that you hear, and keep doing this. And this will also help you, because at times I felt like you were really thinking of the next word to say, and that's because you're not used to thinking in English. But you can, if you practice, you can definitely bring this up. Okay, so you're somewhere between a 6 and a 7, I would say, but not too far off a solid 7 with a bit of work. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So keep going. Keep using all these resources, and definitely come back and talk to us again, and you can have some more practice. Okay, so I'll say goodbye to Hannah, and we'll see if anyone else would like to talk to me. So I'm just going to put Hannah into my waiting room. Okay, so before we start, how is everyone doing in the chat? Got a few people watching. Excellent. So if you want to join me for a live speaking practice in any way, come to the description of the video. Now I will be updating this perhaps a little bit later, because the Zoom call may actually cut out, but we'll come back to it and we'll do a few more. So I've got a few tests we can go through today, and we're going to try and go for at least an hour today. So I'm going to see if there's anyone who I don't think I've spoken to in a while, and we'll give them priority, and then we'll try and chat to everyone else as well. So see if is there anyone that hasn't spoken to me recently? Let's see. Okay. Let's see how this goes. So, just waiting for everyone to join. Oh, just waiting for a connection here. But what we're going to do is have a look at another speaking test in a moment. Okay. So, I think I'm online with Ashwini. Is that your first name?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, this is my first name.
Excellent. Okay. So, where are you calling from today? Which country?
I'm calling from India.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So, let's go through and we'll do a practice of the full test. Do you have a spare 15 minutes?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay, let's go through and do it then. Right. So let me just find my timer. Okay. So, let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, let's begin by talking about your home. Do you live in a house or a flat?
I live in a house. And yeah, I live in a house.
Okay. What is your favorite room in the house?
My favorite room is close to the outside. Like in outside of my house. So I can see people going by.
What do you like doing when you're at home?
I like studying English and teaching English when I'm home and free.
So now let's talk about rain. Do you like the rain?
Yeah, definitely. I love rain. You know, whenever it rains, I'm ecstatic and on cloud nine. It feels like I can do everything whenever it rains. So I'm kind of fond of rain when it comes to raining. It makes me happy every time whenever it happens.
Okay. What's the best way to predict the weather?
I think the best way is like by going through some website and just checking the weather forecast from different websites so we can predict the accurate weather for the day or for the next week.
What can you do when it's raining?
Definitely. I love to have tea and some snacks and watch cricket because it's just a day I could wish for every day. So whenever it rains, I just happy to be in my bed, drinking tea and like having snacks and watching cricket.
So I'd like to ask you about culture. How would you describe the culture of your country?
Okay, so when it comes to India, like our culture is very diverse. So from north to India, from North India to South India, it's very diverse. So from east to west, it's same. So when we talk about culture, we have like 28 states in India, and every culture, every state has sort of its own culture, own language. And although we celebrate the same festival, but celebrating that festival, we have our own ways and own style. So it's very difficult to explain that in just 1 or 2 minutes, but I would say like we have diverse and we have kind of own culture. So yeah, that's how we live in India. It's like, living 28 countries in a single nation. That's how India becomes. And that's why we say that India is known for its unity in diversity.
Okay. Is there anything you don't like from your culture?
Yeah, there's one thing that I don't like from my culture is like, we have a caste-based system in India. So I don't really consider it as a great thing in 21st century. So on the basis of caste, we have discrimination in India. So that's thing that I don't really like about India and its own culture.
Has your culture spread abroad in any way?
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Has your culture spread abroad in any way?
Yeah, definitely. I think, when it comes to yoga, like it has been spread to all over the place from India. So that's one thing that I would think of right now that has spread it to every part of the world. And like it was the main, it was the it was the kind of origin. Yoga was the origin, like India was the origin of yoga. So I think that's one thing that I could think of right now that has spread it to every part of the world.
Okay, good. So let's move on. So I would like you to describe a type of food you eat during a cultural festival. You're going to have to talk about this for 1 to 2 minutes, but before you start speaking, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you'd like to say. And during that time, you can make notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And are you able to see the YouTube screen with the information?
Actually,
if not, I can read it to you.
Yeah, actually I can, but I can see, but it's kind of,
a bit small. Okay, let me just read through. Yeah. So it says, describe a type of food you eat during a cultural festival. You should say what it is, why you eat it, who normally makes it, and explain why it is so important. Okay. So what I'm going to do is give you 1 minute to think about what you want to say, and then after that, I'm going to ask you to speak for 2 minutes. Okay? So you can start thinking now.
Okay.
Okay, so remember, I would like you to describe a type of food you eat during a cultural festival, and I'd like you to start speaking now, please.
Okay, so if I talk about a typical type of food I eat during a cultural festival, is a kind of pudding. So it's a pudding basically. We made it from rice and some sugar. So we had different lots of dry fruits in it. So that is it, and we eat it because there's a festival called Deepavali. So when Lord Rama came from, after defeating Ravan, he came back to India. So that's the reason that why we celebrate. So whenever we celebrate cultural festival, it's kind of considered good in India to eat sweets. So that's why we eat it. Oh well, my mother makes it normally. So yeah, like my sister can can also make it, but I think on festival, when it comes to festival, my mother love to take on the charge, and she always makes it during the Deepavali festival. It is important because as I explained before, that in India it's kind of considered an auspicious thing to have sweets whenever we have some kind of auspicious occasions like festivals, like wedding. So that's why like people just love to it's kind of an excuse also, because some people who are just so like they are so much into sweets, so they just find an excuse, like they just go to wedding, they if they have like a festival, so they just demand for it, and they just love to have sweets in different forms. So that's why like in India it's very important to have sweets during these festivals.
Okay. When is the next time you're going to eat this type of food?
Okay, so in coming month, Deepavali will be in November, so I'll be
Okay.
having these kind of foods in November.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
definitely.
Well, that sounds good. Okay, we were talking about cultural food, but let's talk about culture in general. Some cultural food is unsustainable because of the way it's grown. Should it be banned?
I think it wouldn't be a good idea to ban all these, because it is somehow touches some people's lives, and they have like deep belief in their culture. So I think it would not be a good idea to ban just straight away. I think first we will try to make people understand what are the pros and cons of these foods on the culture or on the nature or on the climate. Then we can come to a conclusion, and then like it will be good, it will be easier for people to understand how can we reduce it gradually, and then just come to a point where we can have understanding of just stop these food from consuming.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good idea.
So, in your opinion, what could be the repercussions of banning food like this?
I think if I talk about India, we can have riots, because just hurting someone's religious belief is not considered good in India, because we have kind of the secularism in India. We believe in secularism, so we all respect every religion in India. So before jumping at the conclusion and just banning that food straight away isn't a good idea. We can have different repercussions, like some people, it can turn into a riot or some like movement or protest. So I think there would be some sort of good way. I think government or some local bodies should step forward and try to find a solution. So government and the people can come onto the middle ground and can have a sort of like a local, like how should I, like a conclusion where both parties are in kind of they understand what's the importance and what's the thing that is impacting nature and other people in some ways. So I think that's the way that we can do it.
Okay. Why have many countries stopped wearing traditional clothes?
I think when it's 21st century, right? So when we talk about globalization, like if we talk about ancient times, people were limited to in their region or in their countries. Now people have started traveling from one country to another countries. So they cannot get into this. They can't really stuck into one identity. I think they have to be very diverse, very kind of measured in their identity, so they can adapt to any situation. So that's why people kind of have stopped wearing cultural clothes, because that keeps them to one region. But some people just love it, because I think some people love it whenever they come back to their village or country or hometown. They love to wearing those clothes. But I think when they travel to another region, like they try to find clothes that they can wear in every situation and in every country. So that's why people have become conscious of what they wear and where they wear their cultural clothes.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the speaking test. Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cool, wow. Yeah, really, really nice. I have to admit there, you had me worried. The first couple of questions, I was like, oh dear, what's happening? And then we jumped into the unfamiliar topic in part one, and you turned on the You put your foot to the ground and you just went from there. So for anyone listening, what we heard from Ashwini there was a tactic. I don't know if you were aware of what you were doing. I think you were. But the first couple of questions in part one, they're always predictable. Always about home, hometown, or always about work or study. If you spend too much time on these questions and you don't get on to the unfamiliar stuff, you're not really going to show the examiner what you can do. So if you notice, the first 3 questions I asked, Ashwini gave a 1-word answer, which was bad at the time, but then everything else he did was just excellent because we got through all the questions. So that was really, really good. Did you know about that? Was that on purpose?
No, actually, this is the first time I'm taking an test.
Oh, well, okay. So well, you did very well.
I didn't know.
You did very well there, because that's maybe not a 1-word answer, but short answers are fine, especially for the first set of questions. So as I said before, you're graded in 4 ways. I felt that you were very natural when you were speaking, and this is the whole point of the IELTS. If a student gets a band 9, it means they're exactly the same as a native, and a native uses English naturally, right? So I think I heard some really good stuff, some nice idioms here and there, some really high level vocabulary, discrimination, auspicious, secularism. Oh god, it was really good. So I think you're probably looking at somewhere between a band 7 and an 8. Whether or not you'd get beyond an 8 right now depends on the day, but you're definitely sort of in that range of band 7 to 8, and quite high in that range. There were a few occasions where you made a little error, but I really had to listen out for it. And a few times when perhaps you could have used a better word. I think at the end you were talking about people coming to an agreement. Perhaps the word was consensus, might be the key word.
Yeah.
Occasionally you were kind of repeating the fillers, like, I heard that a lot. So perhaps work on a few fillers for when you're thinking about what to say next. But the only other thing I could say is perhaps concentrate for your pronunciation. Just concentrate on the sounds that don't exist in your language that do exist in English. For example, the VW sound. So, for example, we rather than V. Little things like that could help you. But overall...
Yeah, the problem is that like W...
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, sorry. It seems like my Zoom call was cut out at the wrong time. But I just want to say to Ashwini, you're doing very well. Just keep doing what you're doing. And the main thing for you now is its accuracy. So even at band 8 level, you can do everything right. You can make very few mistakes. But what you're trying to do is to speak in the way that a native speaks. And sometimes we say things in a particular way, and it's a style of speaking sometimes. So keep working towards that. Keep doing what you're doing. But I'm confident that you're sort of 7 to 8 and not too far off a strong 8 with that performance. Okay, so yeah, apparently my Zoom call cut out there. So what we're going to do is we'll set up a new one, okay? And if anyone was waiting, you're going to join the new Zoom call, and we'll go on for a little bit longer. So just bear with me while I figure all this out, and let's see if we got any questions. Okay, so feel free to put any of your questions in the chat, and I will update all the information for this new Zoom call, and we'll get going. Just give me one moment and I'll figure out. Okay, so let me so hopefully we've got all the information. Oh, it's too long. No, don't want that. Don't want that. How about that? Okay. And I will pin this up there, and we're also gonna edit the video here. Let's edit this quickly. Oh, something's not working. Anyway, it's in the chat at least. I can't seem to edit it. Never mind. So if you want to join this new Zoom meeting, you'll find the information in the chat, and I will start that meeting now, and we'll see who wants to join me. So I've got one more full test to go through if anyone wants to do a full test, and then afterwards there are a few questions that we haven't got to yet, so we could always go through and do that. Okay. Okay, it looks like we might have a winner, or at least another person who wants to join. Okay. So as soon as everything's working, we'll check we can hear each other, and then we'll go through and we can do. Hi, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So so can you just introduce yourself? What is your first name and which country are you calling from today?
Maria.
Oh, it's Maria. It's a different
Yeah.
name. I didn't recognize your name.
Because this night I'm using my mother's phone.
Ah, okay, there you go. Fair enough. So, shall we do a little bit of practice? Do some harder questions, some part 3 questions. Does that sound like fun?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I think there are a few questions we didn't manage to get to in our last one there. So let's go through these questions here and see how you get on. So the first ones will be about culture, okay? So, will we have more or fewer cultural traditions in the future?
Well, that is a tough one. But personally, I think because of the globalization, the world will be like mixed, and therefore create more similar culture, and it will lead to fewer cultural traditions in the future. Yeah, because like the numbers of tradition is reduced, because like we are now more, more modern. Yeah.
What are the best ways to preserve traditions?
Well, I think there are many optimum ways to protect our traditions that passed away from our old generations, and of course we should carry out many
many tradition and custom that we have had before, and I think the government should encourage people to wear their traditional clothes in the in in many traditional occasion and festivals. Yeah.
So you mentioned the government encouraging people. Is there a danger if we introduce policy that people will rebel even more against these traditions? Is that a danger?
Well, it is not a good idea to impose or set up a policy that um, that force people to preserve the traditions, because there might be opposition that because people don't agree that if they don't do it, they will under arrest. Yeah, I think it would be a big danger, and the government shouldn't do that. Just encourage. Yeah.
So let's talk about the moon. Why do people find moonlight romantic?
Well, that is a difficult one. I think people think moonlight is romantic because of many reasons. Because for example, when they are standing in the land and watch into the sky, they always see the dark color. But when the moon appears, they could see the really really attractive light that can interest and attract them. And also moonlight, there are many romantic stories made that create from the moon, and that is the reason why.
Has this fascination that modern people have with moonlight been created artificially, or has it always existed for humanity?
Sorry, sir?
Yeah. Okay, I'm really testing you now. So, has this fascination that modern people have with moonlight been artificially created, or is it something that's always existed in humanity?
Excuse me, what is official what?
Yeah, artificial means fake, not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone's created this feeling. That's what I'm asking. Is it real, or is it something created by an industry or something?
You mentioned the moonlight. Well, if I heard it correctly, yeah, I think moonlight is a natural object, because it exists every night, and it just naturally generates the attractive light that it is not caused by any industry or yeah.
Okay. So how has our relationship with the moon changed over time? How has our relationship with the moon changed?
Yeah, this question is interesting. Well, I suppose that our close relationship with the moon in the past has shifted because, let me give an example. Well, in the past, when people don't have electricity or the internet and social media, we often relied on the moon to produce the light for us to live, and also many every night we our old generations often walked in the moon with yeah. Then in the past they really loved the moon and considered that as a real friend. But nowadays there are many things that we have to concerned about, so nowadays we don't have enough time to spend outside or watch the moon as regularly as we did in the past. Yeah.
Okay. And will humanity set up a colony on the moon?
Well, I think this will soon exist because nowadays we have really modern technology that can explore other planets like Mars or Moon, and of course setting up a colony on the moon is inevitable. Yeah. And maybe we can even live there if the earth doesn't have enough land for us. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, good. Yeah, so this is a tricky topic. When I thought of it, the moon, because to be honest, there has been a recent topic which was the night sky. I believe that was a recent question on the IELTS a few months ago, maybe about 6 months ago. So I picked it and I thought this is a tricky one, and then I was obviously really pushing you because it's always good to practice something that's more difficult than the real exam, because then you'll be much more comfortable. So yeah, overall very good as always. What did I write down? So you're using some really nice phrases here and there. So we were talking, which question was it? I think we were talking about, will we have more or fewer cultural traditions in the future? So you spoke about the world will be more mixed. You might use the word diverse, more diverse, possibly.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think, when we're talking about, so will things be abandoned? You spoke about the older generation traditions passed away. Now, passed away really means to die. So, but I understood what you meant.
Maybe I confused between.
Yeah. So this expression.
Passed down.
Yeah, to pass something down is when it goes from one generation to another. But pass away does mean to die. So I wrote down to be lost from generation to generation, to be abandoned, possibly. Yeah. To be put to one side if you wanted to use more idiomatic language. What else? I like the way you used opposition, has shifted, things like that. Just watch out for little, I think, pronunciation errors. Like we were talking about the moon, and you said humanity might move to others' planet rather than other planets. So just watch out for that. But that, I think that's you just
thank you.
kind of doing connected speech, like trying to connect the two things. Yeah. But overall, keep going. Like we spoke about this idea of self-correction, didn't we, a few weeks ago? So I had a little bit more of that today than I did last week, but I think that's just the questions were a little bit out there today. So keep doing what you're doing when you say, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it. And try and quickly get your thoughts together. If you need to take a moment to think about what comes next, that's not a bad thing, because if we look at what it says in the band's called Descriptors, so there's a difference between what's in band 8, what's called content related hesitation, which is you're thinking about what to say, compared to language related hesitation. Language related is you're thinking of what word to say, and the only way to get past this fluency is just to have your brain thinking in English. So keep reading every day, keep watching TV, you know, talk to yourself in English when you're doing whatever you're doing during the day, and eventually your brain will start thinking in that language. It certainly happened to me when I learnt French. You know, I'd start to dream in French and things like that. That's when you know that you're getting pretty close. Okay, so
that is a really good way.
Yeah, so keep practicing, keep coming back and talking to us. Okay, so I will see if I can talk to another person before we end. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you for your help.
No problem. Yeah.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to Rupinder, and then I think that might be it for today. I don't know. It depends if anyone else wants to jump on. So yeah, I see Raghav. Yeah, it's possible that we could maybe do the speaking test a little bit more. It's true. I will talk to Michael and see what we can arrange. And yeah, I see airsats as another way of saying artificial or fake. So that's a borrowed word from German, obviously. Yeah, let's see. Possibly we can do more than one of these speaking tests live streams a week. Yeah, because you're right, it's kind of tricky because these full tests take 15 minutes. So it's kind of tricky. Okay, so I think I'm in with Rupinder, if you can hear me. I'm not sure if Rupinder's microphone's working. But just while we're waiting for this, don't forget that tomorrow we've got a group speaking class. So it's me doing it tomorrow at 6 p.m. and at 6 p.m. Taiwan time. So maybe we can do a bit more. Excellent.
Hello.
Hi, yes. Can you hear me okay, Rupinder?
Yes. I can hear you, sir.
Excellent. So do you fancy doing some part 3 questions? And I will try and ask you lots of tricky follow-up questions to retest you.
Okay.
Does that sound like fun? Okay. So
Okay.
let's do that. So we'll start here. Okay, let's do this. So let's talk about festivals in general.
Okay.
Are festivals becoming more or less popular?
Actually, I have a partial view regarding this. Yes, I am agree 50% that the festivals nowadays are becoming less popular because we are living in a 21st era and people have become more materialistic. They're more concentrated on materialistic things, money and money and so on. So I think they spend less time with their families celebrating such kind of traditional festivals. On the other hand, I would say that they are still believe that this is the only way to celebrate or enjoy with families. So relax their hectic schedule. So yeah, I have a partial view regarding this.
Should national festivals be paid for by the government?
Would you repeat this, sir?
Should national festivals be paid for by the government?
I don't think so. Natural festivals should be paid by government because there are other things that are very important to consider before funding the national festivals, such as for the development, education, hospitality, and for the comfort of people. Uh, to to encourage the youth especially to celebrate the national festivals, I think there are some other thing that the government should propose rather than the paid, thus by seminars or encouraging some conferences, and by increasing awareness how important national festivals are.
Okay. So, you mentioned the fact that perhaps the government has better uses for its money. What is the knock-on effect of a country not celebrating important festivals that it's always celebrated? What's the effect of that?
I think definitely there will be some detrimental effects not celebrating a national festivals, because national festivals are considered, or they have some kind of history related to the particular country or a state. They represent the history and geography and the how the importance of the festival, how they celebrated begin to celebrating. And I think people stop celebrating a national anthem, but definitely they will be not aware of about the culture and the tradition of the country.
Should tourists be allowed to attend cultural festivals?
Definitely, if someone, especially tourists, are interested to attend some other country's festival, they would be a welcome, because it will separate the culture of the particular nation. They will become more interactive to each other, and the another factor is that it will definitely boost up the economy of the nation where the tourists are going to attend the national festivals.
Are there any dangers for certain ethnic groups if they open their doors to the world to reveal, their intimate cultural practices?
I don't think so. There will be any kind of harm to the ethnic group if they open the door for other people. But yes, I can say that definitely on the some extent the other people's culture, or as I am living in India, there is a high influence of the Western culture on the people, especially youth. So I can say that not that much, but definitely a little bit harm or the negative influence will definitely affect the ethnic properties or the characteristics of the particular area.
Okay. Will festivals around the world become less important in the future?
As I've said earlier, today the way of taking people and the way spending their life is completely changed as compared to the previous year. And we are everyone running out of time. They don't appreciate the real moment, and they neglecting the importance of celebrating the festivals, especially national festivals. So yeah, definitely I can say that in the future there will be less interest of the people to celebrate traditional and the cultural festivals.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think obviously we've spoken before, and overall your content is always very good. You're using really good vocabulary, and the way you're connecting your ideas is really good. And there's not many sort of mistakes I hear. Perhaps the little ones, for example, you mentioned the 21st era. You might say the modern era, 21st century, little things like that, which is not a great problem. But as I said to you before, it's your speed of your speech. Sometimes you get a little bit too excited, and I feel that this is going to affect your score, just because it may affect the coherency of what you're saying. So remember, take a breath. Don't speak too quickly. It also gives you time to think of exactly what to say. Because there's no rush. Okay, listen to me. I'm a native speaker. I speak slowly. It might be because I'm a teacher. I've learned to talk like this. But so don't feel like you've got to speak really quickly to get a high score. It's better take a little bit slowly and really get things right, because your content's good. It could be better, but it's really good actually. And we've also said perhaps the only thing is just work on a few of the pronunciation features. I think intonation, I've said it before, get a little bit of emotion in it. Listen to the way that natives, they change up the way that the intonation and the way that we speak. If you could start to copy that even a little bit, it's going to push your pronunciation score through the roof. Because that alongside everything else you can do is really great. And like fluency, all that sort of thing is really, really good. So I'd spend a bit of time looking towards the pronunciation part, because it's not that you need to have an accent like me. I'm not saying that, but you've got to try and copy a few things that natives do, and it's actually the easiest thing to improve accent, because there aren't many sounds in English, and if you're just conscious of it, it's going to really improve quite quickly. So I did do a little video on pronunciation. I think we're going to try and put up something in the near future that hopefully will help people like you. But keep doing what you're doing, and maybe spend a bit of time on that aspect of it.
Okay, I'll definitely work on it.
Yeah, but it's not a reflection on you. It's just, unfortunately, this is an English test, and if you didn't have to take it, I would say it's fine. You're done. You're doing fine. But in order to get through the test, you've got to just do these little things, tick these boxes, and then afterwards, whatever job or whatever you go and do to study, you'll have no problems. So keep doing what you're doing, but do concentrate on that a bit. Okay, I will say goodbye for today. But remind me, the next time we're on together, we can do a full test, because we haven't done one together for a while, right? But okay, cool. Okay, I will talk to you again soon. So keep going. Thanks for joining me again. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so I am worried that my free Zoom account is going to stop, but I will talk to Laxmi and hopefully we can do a bit of the test on this call. So let's see if we can get Laxmi in to the Zoom call, and we'll see what's happening. Okay, so let's check how we're doing for the sound. So if you just want to check your microphone to see if we're able to talk to each other. Because I can see you in the Zoom call, Laxmi, but I can't hear you just yet. Yes, so as I was saying just before I spoke to Rupinder, tomorrow we're going to be doing a group speaking class, and I'll get it all set up, and it'll be like a live lesson. So if you want to come along, get a bit more feedback, it won't be so long. Like tonight when we do the mock speaking tests, these things can take up to 15 minutes. So it is kind of difficult to talk to a lot of people. But when we do the group speaking classes, you get a lot more interaction with the tutor. And yeah. So how's it going? I can't hear Laxmi just yet, unfortunately. So what I'll do, we'll see. Perhaps we can try again later. Let's see if we can get someone else in. So let's check. So Marish, if you're able to hear me in Zoom. We'll try and do a bit of a test before this meeting actually stops. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, how are you today? Excellent. Okay, so what I suggest is we start going through one of these tests and we'll see how far we can get, because I think this call might drop out at some point. Does that sound okay to you? Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll take some notes as we go along, and if the call does drop out, I can still give you some feedback if you jump on the live stream. Okay, so let's see how far we get. So hopefully the sound should be working now in the live stream. All right, so which one were we doing? Let's do one that we haven't done. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Okay, so let's begin by talking a bit about school. Did you like going to school?
Well, I have always been a studious student, fond of studying different subjects. So yes, I always liked to go to school, and also I was very excited to meet my friends and get some rewards from teachers because they used to like me a lot.
Which subjects did you used to dislike?
What subjects? Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Which subjects did you used to dislike?
Okay, I have always disliked subjects that are related to language. Not English, obviously, because I am a Pakistani, and there are subjects like Urdu and Hindi that we are taught, and I never liked those subjects because of two reasons. Number one, I don't know why, but I used to find them difficult, a bit hard to get the ideas and understand those subjects. And the second reason was that I used to get less marks in those subjects. That's why.
Has your school experience influenced your life?
Sorry?
Has your school experience influenced your life?
It has influenced my life in a positive way. I have been to 3 schools. The first one was not very good, but the second was the turning point in my life, because although it wasn't quite affordable, but the teachers there were so good that they taught me so many things that have become useful and that I found beneficial in the future, because the lessons that I got from those teachers are still right and useful today in my life, and I do follow them. So, yes, it has affected and it has influenced my life in a positive way.
Okay, so now let's talk about taxis. How often do you take a taxi?
Sorry, the internet was a bit slow, that's why I
Okay.
couldn't get the question.
How often do you take a taxi?
Okay, since I am working nowadays and I can drive, so there haven't been many occasions that I had to take a taxi. Probably once a month.
Are taxis expensive in your country?
Yes, actually not. The way the transport has transformed in our country because of Kareem and Uber and other ride-hailing services, this has quite become affordable for the people who actually used to go by buses, because in my country the infrastructure of public transport is actually very bad. It's in a condition that nobody would like to travel to public transport, but these ride hailing services have actually proved to be very useful for the people of the country.
Okay. So let's move on. And so I'd like you to describe a festival from your country. And you're going to talk about this for 1 to 2 minutes. But before you start speaking, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you'd like to say, and you can take notes during this time. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you able to see the YouTube screen with the information?
Just 1 second.
Okay. If not, I can read it to you so you know what it is.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so the information says describe a festival from your country. You should say what it is, when it takes place, what happens, and explain why people enjoy attending it. But as long as you stay on the topic of a festival from your country, it doesn't matter what you talk about, okay? I'm going to give you that 1 minute to plan, starting now. Okay, so remember, I'd like you to describe a festival from your country, and you can start speaking now, please.
I would like to talk about the festival that takes place every year after the month of Ramadan. It is called Eid al-Fitr. So basically, as we are Muslims, we fast for the whole month of Ramadan, that becomes 29 or 30 days from dawn to we are not eating or drinking anything. Then after, and also we get very punctual with our prayers. And the best thing about this month is that people do a lot of charity. And after completing this month, Eid al-Fitr comes the very next day. This is basically this is considered as a reward for the Muslims after they face that hardship of fasting. That festival is actually a very happy occasion for almost everyone in the country. In this festival, which is called Eid al-Fitr, or it's also called as Meaty Eid because people cook and distribute a lot of sweets, cook sweet dishes. They meet their families. In fact, a lot of people travel to other countries and other cities to Eid and this occasion with them. It's one of the it's one of the best occasions for children because one thing that they get is that small amount of money from their elders, which is called Eid, and they are always very excited about this Eid because they get a lot of money. And other thing
Okay, thank you.
that this occasion,
Okay, so
okay,
when is the festival taking place next?
because we had this festival around 3 months ago,
Okay.
I think in the month of May. So it's basically with the Islamic calendar, it will be in June next year.
Right, so we were talking about festivals, but let's talk about them in general. Are festivals becoming more or less popular?
Well, the kind of life that we are leading nowadays, giving priorities to materialistic things, and our lives are gradually becoming robotic in some way or the other. I think people are giving less importance and less value to these festivals. So they are becoming less popular. They do not celebrate them a lot, and the number of festivals are also reducing gradually.
Should national festivals be paid for by the government?
Well, I really don't think so that government is responsible for funding these festivals due to a lot of reasons. The number one, maybe because these festivals are celebrated in different ways by the people according to their financial capabilities. Also, government should be giving priority to other major issues such as health, education, and also the pandemic these days it is actually uh, taking a toll on everyone's health, and government should be responsible for taking care of these things, and also national disasters such as earthquake and tornadoes, etc.
So you mentioned the government and the priorities they should have. In many nations, governments are voted in and out. Oh, okay. Looks like the my Zoom call just ended there. Okay, that's a shame. So what I was going to ask was whether or not paying for national festivals would make governments more popular. Okay, so we managed to just get through to about 11 minutes, which would be the shortest that one of these speaking tests would be. So Marish, so hopefully you can hear this on the live stream. So overall, I think you're doing very well, and you're using some really good vocabulary and all that sort of. Yeah. So Marish, sorry the Zoom call ended, but we did just manage to do the full thing. I would have stopped it after this question anyway. So overall, I think you're probably about that 7 to 8 range. In terms of everything you're doing, you're certainly able to talk about the less common and more unusual topics, so that's fine. I think you have a good use of the lexical resource. There were some good examples of that, and for the most part you're using grammar in the right way, but don't be afraid of trying to use even more complex structures. So one of the things you can do is it's called sentence frames. It works for writing, it works for speaking. It's learning structures that you can adapt to different situations. If you want to really push up your speaking and your writing, you need to start really working with native level sources. So for your writing, your reading, you need to read newspapers. If you can get access to normal newspapers, if you're reading newspapers from the UK, go for things like the Times rather than the Sun. So go for a broadsheet over tabloid. You can also read things like Time magazine, National Geographic. These are kind of the sources for many of the IELTS reading exercises. But you're going to see high level structures, high level vocabulary, and this can help you push up your score even more. In terms of pronunciation, I think you're doing quite well. There are a few occasions where perhaps you could work on the TH sound. I think I heard, instead of think, I heard tink a few times. So little things like that would help you as well. But overall, you're very easy to understand, and you're just going to keep working on those key ideas like intonation, word stress, stress across a sentence, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think you're sort of 7 to 8. With a bit of work, you'll be a very strong 8, and then you keep going. Right, so I think on that note, we might end it for today. But don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow. So we're back live tomorrow, 6 p.m, which is Taipei time. So, for example, New Delhi, it's 7 o'clock compared to 9:33 where I am. So you can see the difference depending where you are. Come and join me, because it's going to be a little bit more informal, a bit more feedback. I'll try a few new things. I'm going to treat it a bit like a real lesson. This is the way I teach when I do online classes with my real students. Well, not that you're not real students, I just mean students that I teach through my school. And yeah, we could try and do some interesting speaking activities tomorrow and get a bit more involvement. So thank you guys for joining me, and we'll keep doing this. We're trying to talk to more and more people, and the more I do this, the better I get, and I'll be able to figure out a way to talk to everyone. Okay, so if you didn't talk to me today, we'll try to get chatting to you guys in a future lesson. Okay, so enjoy your weekend until tomorrow, when I hope to see all of you. So, see you later.